All right, guys, welcome back into another NFL DFS slate. My name is Eric Paulson. I'm going to be breaking down the Saturday afternoon slate. It's going to be a two-game slate. We got the Jaguars versus the Falcons, and then the Rams versus the Bengals. Now, I actually really do like this two-game slate, but maybe more so for Showdown. So I'll be breaking it down game by game. So if you guys do want to enter it Showdown-wise, you'll be able to see which picks I target as well for that game. We're going to be breaking down the two-game slate here. Should be a pretty, I guess, easy one to predict. Okay. The playing time is a little bit more guaranteed in some spots for this slate, which obviously we like for preseason DFS purposes. Once again, if you guys enjoyed this video, give that like and subscribe. That helps out the channel a lot. Let's get into the picks. So starting off, we're going to start off with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars themselves are tough in the sense that EJ Perry is going to be most likely playing the most snaps at quarterback, and we just haven't seen enough of EJ Perry this preseason to really get a good indication of like who he is as a player. So I should start off with saying the Jaguar starters are not expected to play in this one. What does that mean for CJ Beathard, Mr. Beathard? I don't really know. He could play like a quarter, but chances are this game is going to be a lot like the first preseason game for the Jaguars, which was the Hall of Fame game. In that game, we actually saw Kyle Slaughter and Jake Luton play a lot. Both of those two are no longer on the team. EJ Perry is that quarterback. So you kind of had two quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame game, and now you only have one that would, play majority of the snaps. So I kind of think Perry is going to be the one that plays the most, and he actually might play a full game. Obviously, if he's going to be playing the full game, we love that. So, prior to that game time going to lock, check to see if he's playing, or check to see if Beathard's playing, because Perry could potentially be playing the whole game, and maybe Beathard just like suits up just in case of emergency situation. But Perry potentially playing a full game would be interesting and definitely would be something to monitor. If you guys want to play him at quarterback, you can. And then looking at the running back room, obviously they don't have a lot of running backs. And Travis Etienne, I would say he's the starter. I kind of put a video out there on Twitter and TikTok and whatnot, kind of saying we could see a three-headed monster for the Jaguars. It could be Travis Etienne, James Robinson, and then a little bit of Snoop Conner as well. That, just enough of Snoop Conner to like make James Robinson and Etienne owners in fantasy football annoyed. And I think we could see that. So like if Snoop Conner doesn't play that much in this game or doesn't play at all, that would kind of tip the hat that take is true. If Snoop Conner does play a decent amount, well then that's probably a poor take. With that being said, I do think like Sargent here is going to be the safest of those plays. He did do really well in that preseason Week 1 Hall of Fame game, and this position has just gotten smaller for the Jaguars since then. So he played a lot in that game, had 9.9 DK points in that one, 10 total touches. Like I think he's going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars player that you want to target the most. That doesn't mean Raquel Armstead can't produce. Heck, I think you could play both of these two in the same lineup. One of them will most likely play the first half with the other one playing the second half. Both are fine plays if you want to play them. Looking at the receivers here, and this is like really just if you're trying to game stack this game, which obviously you can definitely get away with that. The two that I like the most are going to be like Tim Jones. Tim Jones had 6 targets last week, 5 receptions for 70 yards. Like that's good. He played a lot of snaps last week, and I think for backups, the backup receivers for the Jaguars that played the most snaps last week are going to be the ones that naturally play the most snaps once again this week. So like Tim Jones could play 50% of the receiver snaps, get 5 targets, and would look good. Jeff Cotton was another one that played a decent amount last week. He's kind of had some buzz around camp. I'm not too excited about either of them because they are going to be having Perry throw the ball, and we just don't know a lot about him. But if you were trying to game stack this game and you did like Perry, those would be the ones I would go with. Then also, once again, if you were trying to game stack this game, maybe Dan Arnold at tight end. I don't love that. I won't go crazy with that. You could do this, though. Captain-wise, like if I had to choose someone from the Jaguars, it would probably be Sargent, and that's maybe it. Maybe Perry as well. Maybe gets like a rushing TD or something like that. Looking at the Atlanta Falcons now, it's kind of the same thing that we had last week. The starters are expected to play. So right off the bat, if you are doing a showdown, guys, Falcons D could be in play in the captain spot. Their starters are going to be playing, and the Jaguars are going to be on to their like third stringers. Okay, so naturally, if the Falcons struggle, that'd be surprising. Okay, so they'd probably be the highest owned defense on this 2-game slate as well. And personally, they'd be the ones I'm going out of my way to target the most. So after that, let's just look at the quarterback. So Mariota probably going to play maybe a quarter or so. we'll see. He's looked very sharp in season long or best ball drafts, guys. Like maybe think about drafting him as like one of the last picks because he has been impressive. Desmond Ridder most likely going to get the full allotment of snaps, or at least 3/4 of the snaps once again in this one. Logically speaking, it kind of makes the most sense to get him 3/4 of play as well. He's your rookie quarterback. You want to develop him. If Marcus Mariota continues to play the way that he has, Desmond Ridder's not going to play too much. If Marcus Mariota struggles eventually throughout the season, well, you're going to want to get Ridder in there, and you're going to want to get him in there feeling confident. And how you get a rookie quarterback feeling confident? You give them playing time in the preseason. So like either way, it makes sense for Ridder to get a decent amount of playing time. Tack on the fact that Felipe Franks is someone that the Falcons have been testing out at tight end. And he came in, played pretty poorly last week. I just, the path to Ridder playing a lot just makes the most sense. Felipe Franks, he does rush the ball a lot. So, he could get like what he had last week, like 50 rushing yards in just one quarter, because that's really all he can do. I'm not trying to bash the guy, but it just kind of is what it is. At the running back spot, I don't really know. I think we're going to see this workload just like split up amongst all of them, like Algier, Quadre Olson, and even like Caleb Huntley. Like I think they're all going to get their work. For me, that's kind of just a guessing game as to like which one could possibly fall into the end zone. I don't really like to play that game too much. And then also another guessing game would be like trying to figure out the receivers once again. The Falcons are just a difficult team to predict preseason wise. I mentioned this with the Jets Falcons game last year. Those two are some of the hardest teams to predict preseason wise, while the Falcons still are. Jared here, he is someone that they like. I believe he's a former lacrosse player. Kind of brought in to see what he can. He's an athlete, so they brought him in, had a game-winning touchdown in game one. They really liked him with that. Played well last week as well. Much better last week, actually, much more involved, had 9.7 DK points. Coaching staff clearly likes this guy. And really, I think they just want to get a good look at him, see if he is worth keeping on the active roster or potentially even having on the practice squad. So, yeah, he's probably going to get a decent amount of playing time in this one. Can he produce? I don't know. If you were playing like Desmond Ridder at the quarterback, I would say, yeah, play him. Those two seem to have somewhat of a connection as well. Tight end-wise, not really chasing anything there. So let's get into the fun game. So just real quick, I guess, talking about Showdown-wise, like Falcons D, Desmond Ridder, probably Jared, and then just mixing in the Jaguars players. Like, it's not that fun. Maybe you play a kicker and, have to go with Young Hoku again, which I guess that's what happened with the Jets game. That was annoying. I forgot about that. So yeah, maybe just go with Young Hoku again in the Showdown slate. Now getting into the LA Rams versus the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a game that I like a lot better. Okay, so Matthew Stafford, we know that starters for the Rams are not going to start. So Matthew Stafford most likely out. John Wolford, he, I guess, a fingernail ripped off on Wednesday's practice. So that's Thursday, Friday, and now Saturday. It is a fingernail, so like you can heal it, but like at the same time, that would not be fun to play with. And did they say which hand it was? It was his throwing hand as well. So like, I don't know, gripping a football with that, it just would not be fun. So to me, I think that just means we're going to get a lot of Bryce Perkins, if not the full game of Bryce Perkins. So for me, like I am just Bryce Perkins, baby. Let's just core play him up. He's looked good this preseason, looked good last preseason. He can run the ball a little bit if he needs to. And the thing with that is the running game for the Rams has not looked good, which kind of creates for a sticky situation because I could see Sean McVay being like, all right, guys, we need to get our running game going. We've looked terrible the last 2 weeks. We're going to try to establish the run. I don't know. I don't really think they need to do that, but they could. Looking at the running back situation, we got 3 active running backs, and really the one that they want to get a good look at is Kyron Williams here, who rookie running back, finally healthy. I bet they want to get a good look on him. Just how much will he play? I don't know, but he is someone that I'm definitely interested in. I do think Cherry is going to be an okay play. Jake Funk, I just don't know how much he's going to play. I think he's currently slotted in as the running back 3 spot. I think they want Williams to win that role. So I think that's why he's going to play a decent amount. But if you want to play Trey as well, you could do that. Looking at the receivers for the Rams, this is what I really get excited about for the slate with. You got Lance McCutcheon, who everyone seems to love. Just in general, preseason-wise, he should be the highest owned player on the slate. He continues to look good, continues to produce. I've seen his like ADP start to rise on like best ball drafts as well. He used to not go drafted, and now he's getting drafted. So he's clearly catching on with the fantasy sports community. So last week had a good week in week 1. You know, the playing time should be there for him again. So like Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, Van Jefferson, not going to play. Tutu Atwell and even Ben, probably not going to play. So that really does leave Lance once again. And then I also do really like Austin Tremmel, who once again, playing time wise, should be there. Had a good game last week. 8.6 DK points scored last week for him. Like, these two make a lot of sense. And with Bryce Perkins playing a full game, I like that they probably already have a little bit of a chemistry between those two receivers. It just makes sense naturally, just stacking wise, to go with those two again. And then tight end wise, I do really like Bryce Hopkins again in this one. And to me, really, the tight end play comes down to Bryce Hopkins, who I love. I loved him last week. He did really well for us, scoring 10.1 DK points. Had 6 targets. You know, he produced. But also you got Jacob Harris there, who had 7 targets and scored 6.4 DK points. Like, I could see this flipping. Like, maybe Jacob Harris scores a little bit more. The fact is, if you're playing Bryce Perkins at your quarterback spot, you should probably play one of these two at the tight end spot. Don't flex them. Even showdown wise, I think you could play them. Like, I think the targets will still be there for them. Obviously, not a lot of people are going to play a tight end as well. So that could be a way that you get unique with it. So showdown wise, captain wise, probably Bryce Perkins a little bit, and then the 2 receivers. That's probably it for me. Bryce Hopkins would be someone you can look at showdown wise as well. Then filling in with the Bengals as well. So although the Jaguars Falcons game is kind of like a snooze fest, especially for DFS purposes, I do think that this could be a high scoring game. Looking at Joe Burrow not going to play, I think we'll see a half of Brandon Allen and a half of Drake Browning. We'll see. I don't really like them too much. I think I'd rather go with Bryce Perkins or like EJ Perry, who once again might play a full half, or even Desmond Ridder, who has looked good and will probably play, at least a full half as well. Looking at the running back room, Chris Evans could play. Williams is going to play a lot, and he's kind of the one that I like the most. Jaquiz Pratchett could fall into the end zone once again. None of them really get me excited just because they haven't really been running the ball too much, and when they haven't produced. So last week, Williams had 9 touches for 28 yards and a touchdown. Okay, didn't get used in the passing game too much. We know a lot of Chris Evans, like big plays in week 1, were called back. I don't know. I feel like they do have enough film on Chris Evans, and maybe they don't want to play him too much in this one. Like, Chris Evans probably going to get the first quarter and a half. Can he produce in that time? Sure. Williams will most likely get like the whole second half to work, splitting time with Jaquiz Pratchett a little bit. I don't love either of them. I don't think we need to force them in there, but you could go that route if you wanted to. Receiver-wise, I'm definitely going back to the well with Kendrick Pryor. Pryor had another good game last week after that really eye-popping game in week 1. Looking at it, let me pull it up here. I got the write-up going. That's kind of what I'm reading off of right now, which is going to be available in the comment section below if you guys want to see that. So, last week he had 6.8 DK points on 6 targets. Okay, looked impressive once again. Not as good as week 1. Week 1 he dominated. But I think he's firmly in play, especially in a game that I think is going to be a little bit more high scoring. That is something I want to chase. And then going with that, I'm not going to butcher his name once again here. But he did well. Like, if I'm choosing between Pryor or this guy, like, I do like Pryor a little bit more proven. A lot of this man's targets were easy to catch targets. He had 16.1 DK points, a lot of yards, a lot of catches, but there are a lot of easy stuff. Like, Pryor's like earning it, where he had a lot of, like, I don't want to say easy catches in the NFL, but they're a lot more manufactured, a lot more. He was the guy that was open, but really didn't do anything special with it. Still, 7 targets, something you can't ignore, especially in a game that I think is going to be higher scoring. You could easily put him into the flex and feel good about it. Both someone you can use in showdown as well. So, like, showdown wise, Kendrick Pryor, I do like. You could potentially captain him as well. Defensively, I don't think we have to go with the Bengals. So, like, maybe trying to round out a build, you're looking at, I don't know, Sargent and then Falcons defense or something like that. Like, a pretty solid base there for this slate. But that's all I have for you guys for this slate. Hopefully you guys have a good 2-game slate. Hopefully you guys have a good showdown slate on each of them as well. Once again, I do think they are going to be ones that we can attack. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I do appreciate that. If you guys want to use the 9-to-5 lineup optimizer for preseason DFS or for the NFL season, that's going to be included for PGA DFS members. I think starting on Monday, I'm going to switch that over into a 9-to-5 membership. It's going to be golf focused still, but we're going to have some stuff available for NFL, whether that'll be a cheat sheet, an NFL lineup optimizer. I'm going to keep the write-ups free, but ease of information. You go to the cheat sheet, you can kind of see what the projections are, make your decisions based off of that, and then you can use the lineup optimizer that will, obviously be able to make the lineups that you want. So that's all I have for you guys. Let's have a good slate. Good luck, and as always, guys, let's keep cashing.